Hello architecture students, this is a continuing tutorial for your roof. Last time we went through and we created our roof plan, as you can see in front in the purple lines here on roof plan layer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our typical wall section. So what I'm actually going to do here is go over the rise and run real quick. I'm not going to take the entire video to draw out a typical wall section again. I'll just stop the video, make it, and then continue with the video. So what we have here is this purple line is going to be our ridge line, and that's what I want to be the tallest portion of my house. So I have to go ahead and measure my run. So my run is going from the outside wall, and it's going to go to my ridge line. In this case, I have 13 feet 3.5 inches. So what I'm looking at here for my ridge line or my run is 13 feet 3.5 inches. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to my wall section, and I'm going to go from the outside of my house, and once I'm going to actually go to my typical wall section layer, grab my line command, and I have 13 feet 3.5 inches. Now I need to go up. What I decided was I was going to use a 7/12 pitch. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator here. With a 7/12 pitch, or I'm going to do a 6/12. It's a little bit easier. It's just half. So if I go and look, I got 13 feet. That's going to be 6 feet 6 inches. So I have 6 feet 6 inches just off the 13 feet. I'm going to write this down, always important. 6 feet 6 inches. Then I have 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches will be 1.5, a half, 1 3/4. So I have 6 feet 7 3/4 inches. So if I have a 6/12 pitch, that means if I have a run of 13 feet 3.5 inches, I will have a rise of 6 feet 7 3/4 inches, and that will come right back to the outside of my wall. So right there I have my rise over run. That's where the tallest portion of my house is going to be once I complete my typical wall section. Alright, so welcome back. I went ahead and I actually completed my typical wall section with my roof there. I am missing a few things like the upper truss here, or the lower chord of my truss. I can just put that in there. But I went in and I finished off my soffit fascia. I had a 2-foot overhang. I did not finish one thing because I wanted to show you. So right here, remember that all of our roofing materials is going to go to our ridge line, and they have not gone to a ridge line yet. So this line simplifies our ridge line. I'm going to extend it up, and then I'm actually going to extend all my roofing materials over to that line. Then I'm going to go ahead and trim this line, and what I see here is when I do that, the very top of my roof. Now, if I remember correctly, we're just going to make sure that my wall elevations are set up correctly. There they are. I'm now going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this my roof elevation projection lines. We'll make that a red color, why not? And then I'm going to have my roof elevations, and I'm going to go back to my standard white color there. And now I'm going to go ahead and start actually drawing in my roof. So I'll grab my roof projection lines, and I know from the very top of my roof, here's where I can start. And from right here, this will go all the way to one side. And like I said here, I'm only doing the front here so I can show you the front. Then I'm going to project down the sides of my roof. I'll have many different sides, as you can see here. I could project all of those down. Let's see, here. I got one right here. Always making sure my angles are correct. Alright, so I've got the top of my roof right over here, 612 pitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and do is actually put in my soffit lines. My soffit lines are extremely important here. So I'm going to go first from the bottom of my soffit. I'm going to go all the way over. And then I'm going to go from the top of my soffit. Bring this all the way over. So now I have my soffit lines and I have the top of my roof. So now I'm going to go ahead and start to bring down my ridge lines. There we go. Alright, so now that I'm putting together the front of my house, I've got my soffit lines that projected all the way over. Now I'm going to go over to my roof elevations and I'm going to start drawing in the actual full part of my roof. I'm actually just going to go ahead and draw it down and all the way over. I'll actually be trimming things later on as I want to show you this wall construction here. All the way up. Now if I go ahead and I turn off my projection lines and my wall elevation, you can see here that now I have pretty much the rectangular shape of my roof. Now I got to place some other things in. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll see, I might leave my wall elevations off here. So let's go ahead and turn my wall projections back on. Alright, so here we go. I want this roof pitch to reach the top right here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to follow it down, and it goes from about right here. The one thing I did not put in yet was the top of my fascia here. So I'm actually going to move that over. That's going to be important. Like I said, I'll be trimming a lot of these lines off, but better to have them in place. So let's see here. Let's turn off those wall elevations too. Alright, so here we go. I've got from right here, from this point going back, we see this on the same projection plane and it goes up to my ridge point. So if I come down here, that'll be right here, and this is going to go up to my ridge point, and that's going to go back down to the same plane over here to my ridge point. Alright, so now that I have that, this comes down to be my fascia. This will come down to be my fascia. And I have the start of my wall that I'm going to see now. Now what I'm going to do here is I actually have to think, okay, well, you have fascia on all sides of your roof. So you're actually going to have to offset this and actually create it a little bit. So what I'm going to have here is I'm going to go ahead and offset. And I want to offset the thickness of my fascia. So if I look here, I can measure this. This is something that you might be offsetting quite a bit, so it's probably good to remember. I have 4 1/4, so hey, that turned out pretty easy. That's easy to remember for me, so I'll go offset 4.25 inches down and down. And now what I'm going to do is finish this off. Let's see here. I might have to turn my wall elevations back on here. So turn on my wall elevations on this side. Now, yeah, we're not completely accurate here, so we're going over. We probably shouldn't have that little thing right there, but not the end of the world. So here's the more difficult portion. For our roof elevations, we're going to have a large piece of soffit or fascia right here that goes over. and we need to show that. So on the roof elevations, this actually comes down. We've already drawn this. This is going to go back here, and it's going to go up to this portion. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to trim this. You can see here that's some of that I talked about. And that. And that. Looks like I'm going to have to fill this in right there. Okay. That was actually wrong. What you want to do here, I'm going to trim this. That black line. This line, and my wall. There we go. So now if I did this correctly, let's go ahead and turn off my roof projection lines. Let's turn off my walls. And I am starting to have right there my fascia. So I can go ahead and I'm going to trim this up here. And here's something you can also do, which is actually pretty neat. I'm going to go actually delete this side. And what it's going to allow me to do is I'm actually going to mirror this whole side as they are the same. So I'm just going to select what I want to mirror, those lines. I'm going to right click. I'm going to do my mirror plane from right here over. Says, do I want to erase the source object? No, I do not. So all of my work is over here. Now I can just trim this. And I can delete this line in between, and I will turn my walls back on, and all I have left is this line right here. I'm going to trim this top line, this one I can just delete now, and I almost have my roof. So this is the front of the house. You can see how it's kind of opened up. Now all I'm going to do here is actually going to finish this off by adding to my wall elevation. So I go back to my wall elevations, and my wall elevations are going to go start from that point. They're going to go up. They're going to go down and down right here. So if I turn off my roof now, here is part of my walls. So if I were to go ahead and hatch this in, so let's go ahead and do a hatch here. We'll show you how this is going to look. I've got a few minutes left. I'm going to go all the way down this user hatch, plug in this user hatch, and I'm going to change the scale. I'm going to say add 8-inch siding, and there we go. So I have, this is just if I had siding going up all the way on my house, and then I can go ahead and turn on my roof elevations, and there is my roof. So you can see here I just ended up using my elevation views all the way across. This little guy right here should go on my projection line layer, which is off, and I am starting to create my roof. So remember, I mean, you got to think about this. This goes all the way up. This portion is part of your wall and not your roof. So if I turn off my roof elevations, there is my wall, and I just followed the inside. To create a nice looking hatch pattern, you have to have a closed path. So that line, those lines that I had to draw from the top to my ridge line back, those were to close off the path so I could put it in there. Remember, anytime you need to do that, you just close off the path. It's also very important to go ahead and look at that we start with a 6/12 pitch here. That was from the outside of the wall to this ridge, which was only 13.3 inches. From outside of here to this ridge is larger than 13.3. It's actually 13.8. So this roof slope is actually going to be a little bit smaller. It's not going to be like a 5/12, but it's probably in between a 5/12 and a 6/12. You just want to make sure you don't go below a 4/12 pitch on any of your roofs. That's not good for snow loads. It's going to cause a problem. And remember, you are designing for the Illinois-Wisconsin climate. So hopefully this helps you out, gets you going, and good luck.